Oh, man. It's a hot one today.
Baker, just talk about getting your OU teammate here and how that's been these last couple of days.
It's been great. Obviously losing DT, I'm not going to speak on that, but just guys being down, had a couple guys, just some little muscle injuries here and there. So down on receivers, needed some guys to come in and step up. And he's a veteran guy that's going into year 9. Had some injuries in the past, but he's looking for a fresh start. Obviously, I can relate to that part. Obviously, our scouting department knows everybody that's out there. It was just more so making sure he's coming here for a tryout, and he handled the rest. And I think just in these last 2 days, him, picking up this offense pretty quickly. And obviously, it's always a work in progress, but it's great to have him here. He's a guy that's always got a smile on his face, works his tail off, and just he brings a little juice. When it comes to the mental side of things, he gets fired up. So it's good to have him back. One of the longtime friends that, good to have him back.
He said that you texted him and he saw your name flash on the screen, but he left you on red. He kept working out. He did legs that day. He squatted, I want to say, in excess of 400 pounds.
He probably lied about that.
Well, but the thing, is that what he gets, though, for leaving you on red and not responding right away? Because then all of a sudden he gets it after the workout. He finds out they want to bring him in the next day, and he's like, the flakes were like jello.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But, no, obviously just checking in with him. I didn't know they were going to pull the trigger on a tryout the next day. I had no idea. But, yeah, obviously, like I said, once they got him in, he did the rest. He's a good enough player to make it here. But bringing in competition like that's always good for everybody. So he knows he's got to handle his business just to make this team. We got a good team, and just having better skill groups is going to push everybody around him.
So much success in Norman together. Gone back and watched games, obviously, been on the sideline. Did y'all ever talk about getting a chance to play together at some point? I know that probably not so much at that point.
Yeah.
Kind of fantasize about it.
Yeah, I mean, any of your college teammates is always kind of one of those things you talk about. It'd be so cool to play with each other in the league, but yeah, obviously took a little bit longer for us to get there, and happy to have him now. No chance.
That they at least take your input. They did that with Brady. They did that in the past. They have nothing to learn about this.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, just having some guys down, I think, helped that cause of having some openings. But yeah, just anytime, and you talk to those guys frequently, especially during game weeks when we're doing scouting reports and all that. So just having a good relationship with those guys that we're all on the same page. But ultimately, they call those shots, and my job is to play football and do it at a high level. So just trusting them, and they trust me on my opinion of what type of guy he is. They'll evaluate the talent. Yeah.
What's it been like for you on your side of things as that connection's grown?
Yeah, I think still extremely similar to what I mentioned the first time I talked to you guys after having him here for OTAs. Really friendly at the top of his routes, attacks the ball, catches with his hands, and just explosive, the smooth route runner. And just so now having him put it all together in the offense, get all these alerts, these cans, and playing fast, I think for him is really the next step of really mastering this offense, and so he can use that physical talent that he has.
Baker, you come to Tampa last year. You got Rashad, Michael, Chris, Trey, Cade, and then this organization drafts another tight end, another running back, another wide receiver, in addition to a couple free agents they've sprinkled in. But I mean, is this as well stocked an arsenal that you've had at any stop?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's anytime you get that much familiarity and chemistry with the same guys, you're going to get better too, but it also helps when they're that damn good as a skill group. So for me, yeah, it's up there, but talent can only take you so far. That's why we're working our tails off right now to get this whole thing down and get on the same page. But yeah, it's definitely a great group to be surrounded by. And obviously, yeah, the offensive line too, having some of those same guys, some new additions. And it's just, right now, it's a really good feel of how everybody works and works together.
How do you create that chemistry and that camaraderie when you have you guys on the offensive line? Make sure that you keep them happy so they keep you upright.
It's offensive line's always a herd mentality, and as quarterbacks, you want to be a part of that with them, and just they set the tone. Like that room as a whole always works really well together. It's very rare to have a guy in there that's disrupting that herd mentality. So for those guys, the new guys step in, they kind of watch the veterans, the guys that have been here, and just kind of fall into line. And but yeah, it's been a great group, and it's going to continue to be that way.
When you come back, Baker, you get ready for the Commanders. Different sort of mentality.
Yep.
What will you do between now and then, if anything, aside from
Mhm.
time off?
Yeah.
What's going to be key for you next 5 weeks?
Yeah, I've always been a firm believer with, with this break, take a little bit of time off, get away from it for a little bit, and just obviously making sure you're still in shape, but enjoying your time off because it is a long season, a long grind. So workouts, a couple of vacations sprinkled in here and there, but then just dialing it back down once it comes time closer to camp. And yeah, just reviewing with those guys when we get back here. The biggest thing for anybody coming down here for training camp is how hot it is. So coming back, getting reacclimated in this heat, working out outside, running outside. And so for me, that's, yeah, take a little time off, then get used to it again.
Speaking of time off, you get to celebrate your first Father's Day this weekend. Any plans?
I don't think so. Maybe a round of golf, probably just watching golf on TV. Yeah.
Are you getting rest?
Yeah, sleeping through the night, so we're a happy family right now. So we're enjoying that.
How's Emily doing?
She's good. She's good. She's a rock star. You have a different appreciation for moms now that you get to watch somebody that you're very close with get to go through in life. So she's a rock star. Can't say enough about that.
Hey, you got a young tight end. What have you seen out of the growth of Cade from last year?
Mhm.
And then some of the guys like Kane Durham, who's got a lot of expectations coming into it.
Yeah, Payne's definitely taken that next step of rookie year is a little bit hard, but he's definitely taken that next step and being way more accountable to himself. And Cade's doing the same thing, though, setting the tone for those guys. Obviously, he's a really quiet guy, so he does it in his own way, but he sets the tone. He takes as many reps as anybody out here, so it's always impressive. But, yeah, I think Devin's watching those guys, too, and obviously Tanner is playing great right now, too, a guy that has a lot of physical traits, and so that's a good room. It's a young room, but it's a really good room.
How do you think these guys are taken to the new offense? Because Rashad yesterday was like, this is hard.
Mhm.
And I know you've been familiar.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That's why we do this time right now. It is hard, but that's why you put stuff on tape. You learn from your mistakes and the good stuff. So like today, the last couple of days being really competitive with the defense, it's a lot of learning tape to go from there. But you can tell our guys are starting to figure it out, and that's what you really want to have at this point of the offseason, to where you kind of master it a little bit, and then you come back and start from scratch during training camp, reinstall everything to where guys have kind of a little knowledge of it, and you go from there.
Is Graham Barton a quick study?
He is. I guess Duke's academic program's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah.
We were talking about Cade for a second. Did that connection with him really kind of come on towards the end of the season? You look in the playoff games. I mean, the Eagles game, 8 catches, 89 yards, the touchdown, the Lions game. Is that something that just kind of really built as the season went on?
Yeah, trust happens over time, for sure. But then obviously, when you have guys like Mike and Chris that are down the field, for me it was taking what's there at the back half of the year. When it comes to just finding completions, getting the ball in their hands. I think I said it 1,000 times last year, just finding completions, getting it in their hands, let them do the rest. So for Cade, it's, we will have some plays drawn up for him for sure, just with the guy he is, but also on the plays that are drawn up for Mike and Chris, he's going to be a guy that's going to be left open. So he's got to take advantage of those.
What made Shepard such a good teammate on and off the field back at Oklahoma?
Shep's always been a family man. Unbelievable guy, unbelievable teammate in terms of his work ethic. Obviously not the biggest guy, but he works to be able to compete at this level. And just, he's not a selfish guy. It's never been about him. He's always been about, whether it was Oklahoma football, obviously with his dad playing there, he was always a program guy. And then in the NFL, it's always, how do you win? And so he carries that same mentality and works his tail off to do it.
Baker, you look at that NFC Championship game, Lions, 49ers, both of those teams had your number last year, Lions twice. You get them both again this year. I don't know if you look at the schedule and mentally maybe circle some games in the back of your mind. You have the Lions in week 2. What are your thoughts on that?
Obviously, it's a really good test early for us, but every season's different. And I mean, even when you look at, last year we squeaked into the playoffs, and anything can happen after that. So it's still a one game at a time mentality once you get to the year. But when you play those teams that are constantly good, you got to be ready for that competition. And like I said, the Lions test early on is going to be good for us to see how quickly we're starting and how quickly our guys are learning this offense and are ready to adjust on the fly.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.